To me, but I'm not sure about how much my daughter likes that compliment. But anyway, we'll go with it. What a pleasure it is to be with all of you. We're so excited to share as much as we possibly can. That's what we get so excited about. We have a lot to share in the next 60 minutes, so bear with us. We're going to talk fast. I know there's translation going on. We're going to start with our journey. And our journey, there's some overlap, okay? But I'm going to keep going into the point where Ashley made a decision, and then she's going to go back and tell her whole journey. Now, my journey started actually when Ashley was 5 years old. I had just had a baby. So Ashley was 5, I had a 2-year-old little boy, and I had just had another baby boy. And I was born with a lot of ambition in my life. That's just something I've always wanted, to do something great in my life. In fact, I remember, an early time where I would be in church, my parents would teach me to pray. I just felt like I was here to do something great in my life. I hope that you remember a time in your life where that was also the case, because I believe we're all here to do something great. I worked in technology companies. I was fortunate enough to work with my dad, who was an entrepreneur who started a technology company. I moved into human resources. I loved people, I loved business, and that was perfect, and I had a lot of fun with that. However, in the world of business, there's so many challenges, and especially as a young mother, I wanted more time to be at home. I wanted more time to be with my kids. I wanted to be a good mom. Even though I had this ambition, my number one goal was to be a good mom. So I get a call. Actually, I didn't even get the call. My husband gets the call from my best friend. And she says, I've got to tell you about this business. And he was just about ready to hang up. And I grabbed the phone from him and I said, wait a minute, what about me? She didn't know that I had been crying myself to sleep at night, praying to God for an opportunity where I could do something with my life. And lo and behold, I was introduced to Nu Skin. I came to a presentation, looked at the presentation about, I had never done anything like this, you guys. I've never sold anything in my life. I couldn't even sell Girl Scout cookies when I was a little girl. I didn't ever want to be in sales. I never thought of myself in front of the room, that type of thing. But what I saw the vision of was a company that had a vision. They were just in the United States at that time. This was 32 years ago. They were just in the United States, but their name was Nu Skin International. And I thought, I've always wanted to have an international business. Wow, doesn't that sound exciting? I had no idea what journey I was on for, but it was magical, because what happened was I jumped in at a time where in the United States there was a lot of growth. It was almost like a wave was being swept in, and I actually had success very early on, and I was excited about it. And I thought, maybe this is something I could be good at. And things started to happen. But 9 months after I started, we got challenged in the United States. We got looked at and things changed. And in an instant, my business completely transformed from something that was growing to something where everyone was quitting around me. But I was told by Clara McDermott, who I hope you know who she is. She's really like all of our grandmother. She's the first person and the only person directly sponsored to Nu Skin. She would travel when I started, and she would say, hey, the only way that you can fail in Nu Skin is if you quit. And I knew there was something about me. Maybe I wasn't a good salesperson in my view, but I do have this little, I call it my little fighting Irish guy inside. my mom just calls me stubborn. I knew that if I made a decision and I decided to never quit, that was it. I was never going to quit. I even envisioned in my mind if my upline quit, my sideline quit, my downline quit, which they all did, I wasn't going to quit. I was going to be a fighter. And you know what? You know what, you guys? You better find your little guy inside. You better find your little fighter inside, because you're going to need it. I'm just telling you, and we're going to be brutally honest with you today, because I believe that's the only way that we can transform, is by connecting at the heart. And I'm telling you the truth. You're going to have to find your backbone. You're going to have to find your courage. I stuck with the business. I thought I had made a decision. We'll talk about decision later. But I thought I had decided, to do this and go all the way to the top. But I struggled. I struggled and struggled. The company, because they're so amazing and so great, they had a vision, and they continued on their vision. And their vision was to open up new countries. The first one was Canada. I didn't know anyone in Canada. That came and went. The next one was Hong Kong. I didn't know anybody from Hong Kong. That came and went. The next one, I know I saw people come to Australia and New Zealand, open up those markets. That kind of just went by me too. I didn't know anyone from there. And then it was like, we're going to open up Japan. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of seeing everybody else open up these markets. I didn't know one Japanese person. I didn't know one person with a Japanese last name. I had no idea how I was going to be participating in opening Japan. But I did know one thing. I knew how to pick up the phone and ask people, who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? And I ended up finding a business. I found a guy in Japan who became a Blue Diamond, and that kind of locked me in. But I was a lapis. And I was a lapis for 12 years. How long has anyone here been a lapis? Has there been any lapises over 2 years here? Raise your hand. Oh, you're my people. You're my people. So, anyway, I decided to never quit, but something started to happen inside of me, and it was my fire, my why. I thought I had figured out my why, but what I witnessed, and I actually could see it as my fire, my flame inside started to dim. And it was very dangerous. I was in a dangerous territory. I was starting to say, no, I don't need to go to the convention. I don't need to go to a meeting. I was getting this attitude, and it was really not a good attitude. Not at all. And then in 2003, my sponsor, my best friend, Grace Delaney, she calls me up again. She says they're going to launch a new technology, and you need to hear about it. And she was very strong with me, and I'm very grateful to this day for her friendship and her love and her courage, because I wasn't an easy one. I hate to say I was not an easy one. And so anyway, but I went to this event, and there were actually 2,000 people in the room. It was up in Utah, and they were launching the biophotonic scanner. It was 2003. And I was having the worst time of my life, because I was in the room with all these new people, and they're excited, and there's some people that literally had become team elite. They had joined the business. They'd become team elite in hours. And they're walking across the stage, they're parading across the stage, and I'm in the back of the room, because that's where I liked it. I liked to hang out in the back of the room. I could not believe this. This was horrible. I was comparing myself with them. Every time somebody would walk the stage, I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? I hate this. This is awful. I had the worst time. People would come up to me, how long have you been in the business, and what level are you at? I thought I might hurt someone. So there I was, with this emotional situation. I'm at this event, and I believe we can have a change at an event or a transformation at an event. I let myself get very emotional. I let myself dig deeper and deeper. I knew I had to go there. I knew I had to figure out. I had never quit, but I needed to know. I needed to know what to do moving forward. I desperately wanted success. So I dug deep inside and I envisioned my life. Ashley had just gone to college. If any of you are a parent and your first child goes to college, something happens to you. You realize, what happened to those 18 years? What just happened to that time? Life is going by so fast. So there I was. I went into my mind and I said, I want to see the end of my life. And so I literally drew two paths in my mind, and I walked down the first path, and at the end of that path, I saw a tombstone. And that tombstone said, she really had a lot of potential. And that was horrific to me. I could not let that happen. So I went back and I went down the other path. And that tombstone said she was scared to death, but she did it anyway. And I knew I had to do it. I knew that it was my moment. And I knew that it wasn't the company. The company was insanely great. The management team was, although they're not perfect, they're amazing. They're amazing. Hey, I told you I'm going to be real. And I knew it was me. I had to change. And I made a new decision in an instant. And I said, that's it. I drew the line in the sand. I'm never going to be the same again. I am not going to be the same. I am not going to live my life with regret. I am not going to go to the end of my life with regret. I discovered on that day my greatest fear. I had so many fears. Let me tell you, speaking was a huge fear for me. I had a lot of fears. All the fears that we have, being laughed at, rejection, all of it. But my greatest fear was to go to the end of my life with regret. I was not going to allow that to happen. I was not going to live my life and be at my deathbed with regret for my life of what I was given. I believe we've all been given so much. And in that very moment, I made a decision, and my life completely transformed. I surrendered. I let go. I let go of all that I'd been holding on to. I let go of the struggle. I decided to do something different, and here's the thing. I decided to do it joyfully. So instead of fighting the whole way, I was like, okay, I'm going to embrace this. So lo and behold, Ashley's away at college. One day, I think it was after I was named, I'd hit Team Elite, I'm named Woman Entrepreneur of the Year. She's away at college like, what's going on with Mom? She calls me up. Well, wait, before I get to that, just one more part of my story that I want you to know. I came back from that event. I was so excited to tell my husband I was going all in. Things were going to be different. I'm really going to do it this time. Oh my God, he said, no. Oh no, not new skin. She even said, oh, Mom. All my kids were like, oh, Mom. No. Oh, do you think that hurt me? Thank you for doubting me. Thank you for questioning my decision. Thank you for doubting that I'm going to go for it. I loved it. It was like, come it, bring it on. Because I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you I could do it. It gave me so much fuel. So take that as a icing on the cake. But there I am 3 years after I make that decision, she calls me up and she says, Mom, I'm studying to be a sports broadcaster, but you know what? I'm looking at your life. I want to be a mom. I want to have a business. Will you mentor me when I come back from college? I dropped the phone. I couldn't believe it. It was like my dream come true. I wanted to have it all. I wanted to have the happy family and the business. And I believed as a woman I could have it. The world wasn't telling me I could have it. If you read articles in magazines, it says you couldn't have it. But I believed I could have it, and I was going to prove that I could have it. And she called and she said she wanted to be mentored by me. So I'm going to have her tell her part of the story, but for 10 or 11 years, I took her with me everywhere. And I can tell you that my impression of her, extremely talented, a lot of potential, there's that word again, but she wasn't really used to working really hard, if you know what I mean. So she struggled, and she was like lapis, ruby, executive, and everything in between, never higher than ruby. One day, well, she got married and she had, well, she'll tell this, but she's telling my story. I know, okay. I'll let her tell it, but I just want to share this one thing with you because it's really personal to me, and it doesn't always get told. But as a mother, after 10 or 11 years of mentoring her, I started to doubt myself. Even after all the success I had had, even what I had created in my life, even all the potential I'd seen in her. And I'm so grateful that she finally had her defining moment. But I want her to share what led up to that and how she came to that. And then we want to teach you some of the lessons that we've learned along the way.
Well, I knew she was going to make me cry because I've cried every time I hear her story. And I've heard her story more times than I can even count. But, well, first of all, thank you so much for having us here in Australia, you guys. Australia has a big place in my heart, and I'll share more why. Now, there's 2 reasons, but I'll share those reasons later. But like my mom said, you guys, I first heard and experienced Nu Skin since at the age of 5. You guys, I would be the little kid running in the room, just like loving being around people. I was born loving people. I am the natural extrovert. I love to ask questions. I love to get to know people. I love to connect with people. It's what I love. And so I always loved Nu Skin, loved the products, but I witnessed my mom struggle for a very long time. And as a child, witnessing your parents struggle, obviously, would you want to do that when they're struggling? No. So I go off to college. I'm in college studying to be a sports broadcaster. You guys, I love everything about sports. When I married my husband, all of his friends said, "Oh my God, you married someone that knows more about sports than you do." I know everything about sports. I wanted to be the woman on the field interviewing the football player after the game, and that's just what I wanted. And I knew from a very young age that that's what I wanted. Well, in college, sat down with my advisor. She said, "Ashley, to be successful in sports broadcasting, you're going to have to move to a very small town, you're gonna make no money, and you're gonna have no free time." Well, I was 20 years old at the time. I went back to my condo that night and I started to journal. Does anyone in here journal? Does anyone like to write down their thoughts? I literally did a free flow journal. What did I want my life to look like? You guys, I didn't go to the end of my life, but I went to what was the big picture of my life. What did I want? What was my dream? I had to dig deep. What is it that I truly desired in life more than anything? And then it hit me that what I wanted was the same exact thing my mom wanted. I wanted 2 things. I wanted to be a successful businesswoman, and to me within that meant 2 things. Yes, I wanted freedom, but more than anything, I wanted to be significant and I wanted to make a difference in the world. And then more than anything, I wanted to be a wife and a mother. I wanted to have it all. And then it hit me like a lightning bolt that Nu Skin was the only business vehicle that I knew of that could take me, a 21-year-old graduating from college, to that dream. And I called my mom and I said, Mom, when I graduate next year, I want to work with you. I want to be mentored by you. You guys, if you are parents, the greatest gift that my mom ever gave me was having the courage to go for her dreams. It was the greatest gift that she could have ever given me, because what happened is that when she went for her dreams, it opened up the world and the space for me as her daughter to realize that I too could do it. You know, this conference is shine the light, share the light. That's what she did with the most important people in her life. So I get moms on my team and they're like, but I don't want to take time away from my kids. You guys, there's going to be short-term sacrifice for long-term gain so that my kids can live the life of their dreams, so that my son and my 2 daughters can know that they can be and do anything that they want. And that is the greatest gift, because I am living proof that if she can, I can, and if I can, you can. And so I went around the world. You guys, I went to Sydney in 2009. I was here in 2009. I went to the Philippines. I went to Korea. I went to Argentina. I went to Spain. The list goes on. And I'm so grateful for every minute and every interaction. But what was happening, you guys, I was hearing my mom's story over and over and over again. And there's 2 huge parts of her story that are so crucial. And it just kept pounding into my brain. And the first one was, the only way you can fail in this business is if you quit. And I thought to myself, that is something I can control. I can make the decision that I will never quit. And I made that decision early on. I made that decision. Now the second one I had to learn, it took a lot longer than I would have liked, but I learned it. So fast forward, you guys, I got in the business in 2006. I was 21. Fast forward, 2015, I married the love of my life after a few years of dating him. 3 months after we got married, I got pregnant. While this was happening, I was hearing about the girls in the UK that had a social media system. It was simple. It was one product. It was toothpaste with 8 points. And I thought to myself, traveling around the world with Eileen Williams and Jeff Mack and Nathan Ricks, talking about huge packages and huge products, I thought to myself, never will it work on social media. Never could you build a big business with an 8-point product. And I was so judgmental, because Facebook was created my senior year of college. I'm the same age as Mark Zuckerberg. It was like sacred. There's no way that business is going to be done on Facebook. And as I was getting larger this way, duplicating this way, they were getting larger within the Nu Skin world. They both became team elites. They both became Circle of Excellence. They were in their 20s. And I thought to myself, not only does it work, but it works fast. And I just said, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna start listening. Well, in the summer of 2016, our president at the time in the Americas, Scott Schwartz, brought over these 2 girls to a leadership summit. I couldn't go to that leadership summit because I physically couldn't fly because I was so large. So instead of learning that system, which about a handful of leaders in the United States learned that system and implemented it in the summer of 2016, instead of implementing it, on August 31st, 2016, I had my first child, my son, Luke. And my day and my life changed forever on that day. Because I had the gorgeous, beautiful little boy in my arms, and I was the dream of having the mother. But you guys, I went into a full-blown new mom fog. It's my fancy version of saying postpartum depression, because that's what it was. I cried every day, almost all day long. I hid it from my friends, I hid it from my mom, I hid it from my husband. I cried every day, all day, for 6 months. And looking back, now that I'm out of it, what was it? It was that I had the joy and the love and the dream of being the wife and the mother, but I was missing deep down inside of me that knew I was meant for more. It knew that I could do more and be more and give more to the world. It knew, and for 6 months, my soul battled each other. And what happened on February 20th, 2017, I've never had a tattoo, but I've thought about getting this date on my arm. On February 20th, 2017, my world changed again forever. One of my friends in the business, who is a sideline partner, who doesn't make money on me, she's not upline, downline, she's a sideline friend, she called me up and she said, Ashley, I've been doing this for 6 months. It works. It's fun. You love this business. You love this company. You love these products. You love social media. What are you waiting for? And you guys, I got off that phone call and I physically fell to the floor. My son was napping at the time and I physically was on the floor in a puddle of tears. I cried harder than I've ever cried before, and I bet you money most of you have never cried as hard as I cried that day. It was like a snake shedding her skin. I physically had to feel the pain of everything, so much pain and so much emotion. And you guys, on that day, I made the decision. And 5 things literally in my brain happened at once, and I called my mom, and then I called my husband, and I said the same thing. It was these 5 things. All at once, I made the decision. 1, I was gonna be okay with being a beginner again. You guys, I learned this business the old school way. For 11 years, I was taught how to do the business. I knew the principles of it. I knew everything about it. I knew nothing about how to build a business through social media, but I said I'm gonna be okay with being a beginner again. 2, I had to let go of what other people thought of me, because when you live your life out loud on social media, there are going to be people that don't like you, and that is okay, because there are going to be people that love you and support you, and those are your people. 3, I had to stop comparing myself to other people. You guys, this is a really, really big one. I had to stop it. You guys, my life and my journey is different than your journey. God designed it that way. We are all uniquely different and perfect in His eyes. You can't compare yourself to me. My journey is my journey. Your journey is going to be your journey. Stop comparing yourself. It will rob you of all the joy in your life. Stop it. 4th, really, really, really big one. Really big one. I had to let go and forgive myself for the story in my head that I had done this business for 11 years. And at the time of that day, February 20th, 2017, I was a struggling 2K executive. I had to let go of that story and forgive myself for telling myself that story. And I had to decide to rewrite my story. And you guys, I rewrote a really big one. And I'm going to tell you what it was in a second. 5th, most important thing, which is the second part of my mom's story, is I had to finally be willing to do whatever it took. And I am going to tell you guys that when you make the decision to be willing to do whatever it takes, God will bring the people, the things, and the talents and the skills that you need to have that dream, to create the team, to have the life. You know, right now, you guys all want the answers. You're not going to get the answers until you've made the decision and you're ready to hear the answers. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're never going to have what you need until you make the decision. And so on that day, struggling 2K executive, I decided I was going to be willing to do whatever it took, and I got into action. Well, March 1st, I sat down with my mom, and she said, what do you want? What do you want to create? What's your goal? And I said, well, I want to go to Iceland, the success trip at the time. And the Iceland success trip was ending, the qualification period was ending at the end of March. You guys, 31 days. At that time, in the 11 years that I had done the business, the highest pin title I had ever been was Ruby. Well, that time, I don't know how your success trip is, but for the United States at that time, it was pin title progression. So in 31 days, I had to become an emerald, something I had never done in the 11 years of doing this business. And I thought to myself, in my brain, there is no possible way that I would be able to go. And my mom said to me, what'd you say?
I said, Ashley, will you promise me one thing? Will you promise me that for the 31 days, you will not entertain one moment of doubt? One moment, not thinking that you can do it. I want you to set the goal. I want you to look at that goal every day. I want you to work as hard as you can every day. And you do not entertain doubt for even 1 minute. And when it comes in your head, you wipe it out. And so I remember that I made the decision I was going to be willing to do whatever it took. And I said that I can do that. And you guys, I transformed. I made a decision that I was going to rewrite my story. And you guys, I did 2 things within that month that changed my life forever. But I'm going to tell you that the story that I told myself is that I was going to launch California. That's where it started, because I heard about Rebecca in Oklahoma and these girls in Texas. And I said, well, you know what? I can just own California. So every phone call and every message was that I'm going to be launching California, and I acted as if I was literally Steve Jobs with Apple. That's how psycho I was. I literally was so clear intention that I said, I'm going to launch California. And after a couple of days, I got so excited and so clear intention, I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to launch the United States. And I said on every phone call, I said, oh my gosh, we've got this social media business. It's free. It's simple. You're going to make $10 cash retail profit. And I'm launching the United States. Who wants to get signed up? And the 2 things that I did that month, the 2 things that I created in my life changed forever. 1, I said, I'm going to do something simple every day towards my business. What's that one thing? I'm going to get 1 person signed up and started that day. Every single day. My goal was 1 a day, to just sign up 1 person and start them that day. My goal was 1 a day. By March 19th, I signed up 21 people in 1 day. In the month of March, not 1 person, and my mom can attest this, not 1 person said no to me. Not 1. I was so clear on where I was going and who was going with me that every single person didn't even know what I was talking about, but they got signed up and they got started. Every age, every background, every type of person you can imagine. I mean, we're calling my mom's friends, my dad's friends, my cousin's friends, my best friends. I mean, everyone you can imagine. The second thing that I created that month is a concept that will change your life if you ever put it into practice. I said, okay, I'm going to have a list of the things I'm going to do throughout the day. I'm going to write down that list. Whatever it is for you, your daily habits, how many people you're going to talk to, what you're going to do. I would write down the list for the day, and I would go through the list, and then I would ask myself, can I do 1 more thing that day that's on my list? And I would do 1 more thing, and then I thought to myself, well, I just did 1 more thing. Why can't I just do another thing? Okay, I did another thing. Why can't I just do another thing? Well, 3 hours later and physically on the floor and my hands like this, my husband would have to take me away from the phone because I physically was doing more things than I thought possible in a day than ever. You guys, in those 31 days, I didn't know what was on TV. I didn't know what sporting event there was. I didn't go to any family function. I didn't go to any social function. For 31 days, I had a clear intention and a vision to become an emerald. And those 31 days changed my life forever, because on March 31st, I became an emerald. I qualified for Iceland. And that literally, those 31 days, that 31-day sprint after I made the decision, literally sprung me into the wave that I have created in the United States and the globe. Because I went from emerald 2 months later to diamond. By November of 2017, I was blue diamond. By 2018, I had 5 blue diamonds on my team. In 2018, I was named Woman Entrepreneur of the Year, because that was one of my things that I always envisioned myself doing. And so I just want you guys to know that it's all about making a decision. And that's why events are so important and so crucial. Because when you make the decision, it doesn't have to take very long to get to where you want to go. And I can tell you guys, if that you're currently stuck, it's because you're not willing to feel the emotion, and you're not willing to make the decision to go after what you want. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what's the difference between a choice and a decision. A choice, you guys, is something that is a choice out of nothingness. So if you made a choice to come into the business
and you had never had the product, you had never been to the company, you don't know who the corporate people are. That was a choice. You made a choice to do Nu Skin. A decision is when you make a decision after having knowledge. So after knowing more and having knowledge about something, that's when you make a decision. Now my mom's going to talk about what the root of decide, the word actually decide means, and the difference of why a choice and a decision is a very big difference.
So the word decide, C-I-D-E, the last part of decide, side means to kill off, to destroy. If you think of words like, suicide, genocide, decide is a final, it's to kill off the possibility of retreat, the possibility to change your mind. And I believe you can tell when that happened in my journey and when it happened in her journey. Now, I thought I'd made a decision at the beginning when I joined. I thought I made a decision. I had not made a decision until that was it, and that was what I was going to do, and there was no other option. And until you make that decision, you will struggle.
That's true. And so I'm going to talk now about the difference between change and transformation. Because when you make the decision, there's going to be a transformation in which you witnessed in my mom, in myself. So what's the difference between, I want to change, I want to be a team lead, or transformation? Because I want you guys to know that the journey from wherever you are today to team elite is a journey of transformation. It's a journey of becoming. Because seriously, team elite, to get to team elite, there's going to be a lot that you're going to have to go through to get to team elite. A lot. So the difference between change and transformation. Change, something that is changed can be changed back. Let me say that again. Something that is changed can be changed back. Something that's transformed can never go back to its original form. 2 examples. 1, taking coal to diamond. It can never go back to coal once it's a diamond. My favorite analogy, a butterfly. The butterfly has to go from a caterpillar to in the cocoon to build strong enough wings to break through to have the transformation. Now I'm going to tell you guys something so powerful about the butterfly to me that changed my life. I just found this out recently. I don't know if maybe you guys all know this. I did not know this. I did not know that if you saw a cocoon hanging and you physically went and took it, and you said, I see that it's starting to break apart, it's starting to come out, and you physically opened that up, did you guys know that you paralyzed the wings and most of those butterflies would die? Did you guys know that? I did not know that. So what does that mean? It means that I had to transform. My mom, no matter how painful it was for her, could never physically, will, or whatever it is that she wanted to do, she could never make me transform. I had to transform. I had to feel the pain. I had to go there. And so if you guys are stuck in your life, it's because you're not willing to feel the pain. You're not willing to have the emotion. And here's the key part about transformation, you guys. Something that's so key. When you are in transformation, there is 100% going to be struggle and pain. 100%. You are never going to get away from it. You're never going to get away from it. The diamond became the diamond because of the pressure. The butterfly busted out because of the pressure and the physical strength that it needed to do it. So here's what you guys need to do. People come into the business, they're like, oh my God, I've had 10 no's. I've had 10 months. I got to Ruby and the team left. And oh my God. And they're like, it just got too hard. It just got too painful. Here's what you guys need to know about that. It was designed this way in life. God designed it that way. The second you make a dream and the second you make a decision to go for that dream, here's the beautiful part. There's obstacles and there's things and there's people that will come into your life designed to see if you really made the decision. Designed to see if you're really willing to transform. Designed to see if you're willing to feel the pain, to get over whatever it is that you need to get over, to become the person you need to become, to have the life that you need to have. You guys, those 31 days, my brother went up to my mom and said, "What is wrong with Ashley? She is a different person." I transformed that day, and I will never go back, ever. I will never go back, because I made the decision and I had the transformation.
And so part of that clue, you guys, part of the process is you have to actually move towards the pain. Okay, I told you I'm going to be honest with you today. You have to move towards the pain. I never wanted to speak. I was scared to death. I mean, to the point where I thought I was going to throw up when they asked me to come the first time to speak. But I was willing to go through the pain. I was willing to do it. I was willing to move through the fear. You have to be willing to go through the fear to the other side, because you will not experience your life in its glory until you move through that pain. So there was a guy, William James, in the late 1800s. He was a professor at Harvard. He actually made one of the most, in modern day, biggest revelations of our time. And that is that he discovered that we as humans can alter our life by altering our thoughts. And so Ashley talks about creating a new story. We actually have the ability to create a new story. And what I want to go through now is that the specific thing that I had to learn is there's something called victim, which, quite frankly, almost the whole world is stuck in there. And there's something called responsible. Victim is when you blame, you blame, you shame, or you justify everything in your life. We call it, if you draw a line, we call it below the line. You're below the line, because we have the ability to choose our thoughts. We have the ability to create our life. We are responsible. So your first lesson today is you have to choose to live above the line. Are you up for that, you guys? Yeah. Okay. The other concept I want to talk about is, I say, the three R's. It's in your workbook, so you can jot it down later. But the 3 R's is a cycle that's automatic. And this is why I want to talk about it, because it's really important. The first R that we get thrust into this wheel is resistance. What is resistance? Resistance is not accepting what is. It's not accepting what is. John and Max just showed us some pretty extraordinary what is. Okay, excuse me. The world's changing. There's some things going on. I know a lot of you are in resistance. I know that you're not accepting it. It's like, woo, but somehow it's gonna, I literally talk to people who are like, oh, I think it's gonna go back to like the old way. Okay, well, that's resistance. What happens if you're in resistance, you automatically, you guys, you go into the next R. The next R is called resentment. You automatically go to resentment. So if you're in resistance and not accepting what is, you're automatically going into resentment. If you notice yourself in resentment of other successful people, things going on in the business, things happening around you, other people's successes. You're resenting the fact that somebody else was asked to speak, or you're in resentment. You can go back and see what you're in resistance. The third R, and it's automatic, and this is why we have to recognize this and get out of it, is called revenge. The third R is revenge. And what happens, and what I've witnessed in my own life, in other people around me, is oftentimes the revenge is to ourselves. We stay stuck. And it's revenge. Because we're not accepting what is. We're not surrendering to what is. So if you can understand and recognize that you're in that cycle, then you can choose, because we have the ability to write our own story. You know, Ashley talks about that, and it's such a big, important thing. When I had my defining moment, I decided that my story was that it's my turn. It's my turn. It's my time. It's my time. And it's my year. I decided that's my year. And I teach that to people because if you have the ability to write your own autobiography, your own story, why don't you make it the greatest story ever? Why? Why don't you make it the greatest story ever? If you have the ability to write your own story, why wouldn't you make it the greatest story of all time? Seriously. So, I'm going to tell a story of resistance real quick because it's a really, really big one for me personally, so that you can see in real life how was it that I shifted from being in resistance to not being in resistance. And I want you guys to know the key to all of this that we're telling you, which is mindset and personal development, the key is being self-aware. So if you do not journal or talk to a friend, or if you are not self-aware of what's going on with you and being willing to look at what's going on and the truth of where you are truly today, if you're not willing to do that, just forget everything we said. But if you're willing to do that, then you'll be able to decide and transform. But let's talk about resistance. Okay, I'm going to talk about March of 2020. Ooh, do you remember what happened in March of 2020? I remember what happened, because remember, or maybe you don't know, I have, well, at that time I had 2 kids. I have 3 kids. And so at that time I had 2 kids and was building the business. And what happened is the world shut down. I'm a very empathetic person. And so I take in a lot of what is around me. And I was watching the news 24/7. I don't know what you guys were doing. I was watching the news 24/7. At the time, I had a 93-year-old grandma, and it was like my emotions were literally, again, for like 2 weeks, I was like a mess. I was like, oh my God, do I see people? Do I not see people? Is the world ending? What's happening? And so for 2 weeks, I was in resistance because I was not allowing myself to surrender to what is. It was so much resistance and so much pain. It was constant. And then what happened is for 2 weeks, because I literally remember the 6 months that I had, the 2 weeks, I was like, I can't do this. I can't keep living my life like this, because if I keep living my life like this, I can't live. And so what happened is I literally woke up at the end of March, and on April 1st, I said, you know what? I'm going to surrender. I'm going to surrender, because truly there was nothing I could do. I had to focus on what I could control. And what I could control is that I could focus on helping people. I have a business through social media. I could focus on helping people. And I created a goal in April of 2020 that I was gonna become team lead, that I was gonna have team leads on my team, and I was gonna 4 times, you guys,
4 times my total organizational volume goal within a 1-month period. That was my goal. I don't go small, I go big. I said, that's my goal. And I put it everywhere. You guys, I put it on a mirror. I put it on my phone. Again, I went into a crazy, what I call sprint. And I was literally talking to so many people, and like so many things were happening, that at the end of April, I looked in my back office. And first of all, in the middle of April, I became team elite. I found out I became team elite the same day I found out I was pregnant with my 3rd child, which was always a dream of mine to have 3 kids. And 5 ladies on my team became team elite in the same month. So in April, I became team elite. 5 of us together became team elite. That was my first year of being team elite. And then at the end of April, I looked in my back office, and literally 10 points over my goal, I 4 times my TOV within 1 month. And so when you let go of the cycle of the 3 R's, and you're willing to be hyper self-aware, because you guys, here's the thing, just because I know these things does not mean that I have like an ability of just like, oh, instantly I can let go, and instantly I can forgive, and instantly, no, it's just that I'm aware of it. I'm aware when I'm in it, and I'm aware when I can get out of it. You guys, I was in it 30 minutes ago when I found out my husband put an air conditioning unit in my new house, and then I looked at the picture of the air conditioning unit, and it's a friend of mine, and my husband didn't know that our friend owns an air conditioning place, and I found out I could have gotten half off. I was in resistance of, oh my God, what the heck just happened? And yet before I went on stage, I just said a little prayer, and I thought to myself, well, good thing money isn't an issue, and I'm gonna let it go. And I'm just saying, there's little things like that in life that can get you. Little things. You guys, resistance. I have a little kid in my neighborhood. I just need to tell this story because there's also, if there are people in your life and they're showing you something, or you have resistance to them, there is something you are going to learn from them. There is something, it's designed that way. Every single person comes into your life, leaves your life, or stays your life for a reason. This little boy, an 8-year-old, is the most persistent, she's like, where are you going with this? Persistent little boy ever. He literally, every day, like all day long, knocks on our door. Can I hang out with Luke? My son's 5, by the way. So if I have to be outside with my son, because I feel like it's not a time in his age where he can just be out. Can I hang with Luke? It's like 24/7. Like, this kid does not know no. Like, when you get old enough, you're gonna be in my business. Because this is, and I'm thinking to myself, what is it that I'm gonna learn from this kid? Because I have so much resistance to this kid. And I just like, it was like a constant, and I was not surrendering to what is. Like, this kid is who he is. I don't know why he's that way, but he's that way. And I was just a constant resistance, you guys. And then I was talking to the parents who just moved into our neighborhood. They've been in our neighborhood about a couple months. And I was talking to the parents, and I said, like, what's the deal with Ander? Like, why is he like that? Like, and she said, Ashley, he almost didn't survive when he was born. Because he was born with a hole in his heart. And so what that kid has been through in life is in itself a miracle. And in that moment, my life changed because I thought to myself, first of all, why was I judging this kid, who's a beautiful little kid and just really persistent? Why was I judging him? And now that I know what his story is, oh my gosh, you guys. And here's the beautiful part. The instant I knew that, I surrendered, and now I love the kid. Now I'm like, come inside, do you want a snack? Like, and now the kid's playing with Luke 24/7. It's the greatest thing ever because my son loves baseball so much, and now they get to play together. So also, if you're judging someone, there's resistance. If you're comparing to someone, there's resistance. If there's something in your life that you're not willing to look at, there's resistance. When I made that decision to go to Team Elite 3 months prior, and here's something that's big. 3 months prior, I kept asking myself the question, because I believe that we know the answers. Because here's the thing, you have everything inside of you that you need to be a team lead. You have everything inside of you. You were born capable to become the person that you need to become. And I believe that if we ask ourselves the answers enough times, that the answer will come. So I kept asking myself, why am I not team elite? You know, it was the December of 2019. I have all these people across the world that are my friends that are team elites, and they're like, you are a team elite. Why aren't you a team elite? And I thought to myself, why am I not a team elite? There's something going on. There's something digging deeper. And so I kept asking myself the question. And then one day it hit me, because I wasn't willing to look at what it was. And what it was is that in the January of 2017, remember, my defining moment was February 20th, 2017. What I don't tell a lot of people is that while in the midst of my new mom fog, in the January of 2017, my best friend, my soul sister, I called my soul sister in life, who introduced me to Doug, my husband, decided to divorce her husband, who at the time was Doug's best friend. And in that, she said, I can't be friends with you anymore. And it was like a death. It was literally like losing someone in my life. She was like a sister to me. And so in December of 2019, when I was asking myself the question, I was like, what is it? What is it? What is it? I need to reach out to Liberty. I need to forgive her. I need to forgive myself through all of this. And I reached out to her in December, and we got together, and it was just a beautiful moment of just forgiveness. And so usually if you're in resistance, or there's something that you're not willing to look at, there is something, and usually it's ourselves, that we have to forgive. We have to. And so you guys have to be aware. And so your homework tonight is to go home, go to your journal sometime today. Journal where you're at. Like, get it all out. Get it all out. That you're an emerald with no team. That you're a lapis and you're a master seller. Get it all out. Write out what it is. And then at the end, ask yourself the question, first of all, what is it that you want? What is your desire? What is your dream? Is it to be a team elite? Not everyone wants to be a team elite. Is it to be a blue diamond? What is it that you want? Write that down and then ask the question to yourself. What is it that I need to do to get there? What is it that I need to go do to get there? And I promise you that the second, here's the beauty in not quitting. I figured it out. I finally figured it out. Why that's the clue to all of it. I figured it out. Because when you make the decision to never quit, and you truly never quit, it's inevitable that one day you're going to have your breakdown, to have your breakthrough. It's inevitable that you're going to have those obstacles come to you, and they're going to be big. It's inevitable that you're going to get over it, that you're going to become the person you need to become to have the life that you want to have. It's inevitable that you're going to have the answers. You know, a lot of people are like, well, we want Ashley and Eileen to travel the world. We want them to tell them the system. You guys, I don't know the social media system for Australia, but I'm telling you right now that someone in this room is going to make the decision and rewrite the story that they are going to launch Australia with social media, and you have to decide if you are going to be that person. You have to decide that. I can't decide that. I can give you vision and empowerment and inspiration, but you have to make the decision. And here's the beauty of the not quitting. Because the people that have quit, if they still have that dream, you guys remember, it's not that everyone was born in the world to dream to be a team elite. No, it's what the team elites have. Like, let's get real here. It's what the team elites have. It's not that like, oh, my life dream is to be a team elite. That's my life dream. No, my life dream is to speak around the world and have the life that I always desired. The life of freedom, being with my family and having no one tell me where I have to go or who I have to be or that I have to miss my son's game. No one's going to tell me that because I own my time. That's what being team elite is. But here's the beauty. If someone quits and they have that dream, whatever it is for them, they go somewhere else, they do something else, those obstacles and those people are going to be thrown at them because that's the way it's designed in life. So decide, is new skin going to be your vehicle to get to your dream? And if you make that decision and you decide never quit, you will have your defining moment. I can't decide when it is, but maybe it's going to be this weekend. Thank you so much for having us here. We'll be back tomorrow, you guys.